My name is Maria, and we are on Vergesig Farm, our family farm in Piketboerberg. This is where we are farming biodynamically with apples, pears, and soon vineyards, and my herd of brown Swiss cows. And we have our micro dairy here, where we make butter, yogurt, and cheese. My love for food started with my mom. She had a really beautiful garden at our farm in Jonkershoek in Stellenbosch, and she would grow everything, cook everything from scratch. We had 2 Jersey cows there that we were milking, and she was making yogurt. I think this was a big inspiration for my love of making products. My whole thing ideally would be to just supply people in a radius of like 100 kilometers from us. I don't think milk should ever travel so far anyway. To keep it such a luxury product, because it has to stay at 4 degrees because people want it in their coffee, to be fresh on like Sunday morning when they wake up. To understand that this product was never ever designed to see sunlight. From when a calf drinks milk, goes straight into its mouth, from the udder into the teat, into the calf's mouth. There's no contact with sunlight. So milk shouldn't travel far. You should have your family cow that supplies milk for you and your family, maybe your neighbor. And then Industrial Revolution, and people didn't want to be on farms anymore, and the farm and the consumer became further and further apart. I think in South Africa, it used to be like pre-apartheid, every town had like a dairy. And it would be like Darling, and the West Coast here had also a lot of dairies, and even like post-apartheid. But then the economy opened up, which good, but also not good in a sense, because then the local economies suffered a lot because you could buy in milk much cheaper from outside. Where you find your milk on the shelf now in a supermarket comes from a huge feedlot, because it's much less time, much less money spent to feed animals in one space. They don't have to walk around, they don't have to go anywhere. They come in for milking definitely twice, maybe 3 times a day. So it's a high feed diet. They live maximum 5 years there for milking. Farms used to have cows, and then they made cheese, and then they sold the cheese. Now everyone has a farm to make milk, and the milk goes somewhere else. So they're like the middleman. And then the animals are not being treated well, and they don't live that long. Our cows, on the other hand, we want to milk them for 15 years. So they have at least 15 calves in their life. And then they're about 17, 18 years old before we can slaughter. You can't have milk without meat. Doesn't make any sense. On a micro dairy scale, we milking the cows once a day. We do the cow and the calf system, where the cow is allowed to spend time with her calf like in nature. So we're not putting any extra stress on them by separating the calf away, by milking them 3 times a day. We are keeping them in the system that is innate to them as animals. Stress impacts the quality of the milk that we are eating, and it becomes part of us. I've been to farms where the cow is normally locked up. After 24 hours, the calf is put into a pen, and the calf is fed bottled, dried, powdered milk that comes in a packet that you have to then warm the water, you have to clean the bucket, you have to sterilize the bucket, you have to feed the calf every day, 3 times a day. But calves are usually, they drink when they're hungry. So they would drink small little mouthfuls throughout the day instead of these massive meals, which is not how they were designed. We don't dehorn our animals at all. The mothers were dehorned because we bought them from a breeder, and a really amazing guy in Stella, and he dehorned them. But we don't want to dehorn our animals because we believe that this is connected to the sinus of the cow. It regulates their body temperature. That's why you can see in Central Africa along the equator where it's much more warmer, like Uganda where the Ankole come from, and the Nguni that originate on the east coast of South Africa, they have these long horns because they adapted to this climate. And so, the horns, people are like, oh, there's no feeling, they don't feel anything. But one of our bulls, he broke his horn off and it was just bleeding nonstop. And there are nerve endings in this horn. And it also helps them understand what they can eat, helps them with the hierarchy within the herd, gives them like a sense of space, a sense of being, pride. The horns influence the flavor and the quality of the milk. And in Germany, they've done a lot of studies, and they've seen that cows that have horns produce a better quality nutritionally for a human being than without. Food and agriculture and farming, it does bring people together, but people aren't allowed to necessarily go onto farms anymore. Farms are so closed off because they're like these sterile, hazardous environments. Like if you go onto a chicken farm and you open up that door and you change the temperature of the room, the chickens will die. And we've lost this connection as a result of producing this food in this way. So I can understand why there isn't this connection to food and this conviviality and this sharing and this good flavor and this lack of knowledge of something that is innate to, I think, human beings, and ceremonies and celebration. When you see people enjoying a food, when you see people enjoying a product, when they're understanding, and you get a good feeling, celebrating, being around people that you love and care about, enjoying something together, this is why we do it. You think it's expensive to support a smaller scale, for sure, on the price tag it's expensive, but the cost is sitting somewhere else. Like if milk is 15 Rand a litre from a commercial dairy, I'm selling it for 35 Rand a litre. They're cutting costs in the animal health, in the soil health. So the environment is paying for, and the animals are paying for. Maybe it is a luxury to be able to choose like that. What Slow Food always talks about is saying that you vote with your fork. Support once a month, find out who's producing these things, encourage them to keep going, be curious about what they are doing, what they're feeding their animals. Is the calf staying with the mother? Why not? Is the bull, do we eat it? Can we buy it? Like, what breeds are you using? Are you using indigenous breeds? Like now we have this brown Swiss, which is a very European animal, but they're dual purpose and they're a heritage breed, even in Europe. No one's working with them anymore. They're working with this American Holstein for milk yield. So I think preserving indigenous products, breeds, and practices is the only way.